process, whenever we do talk about program and process, program is set of instructions or set of executable statements or set of statements which are written by the user by making use of either of the programming language. But when I talk about a process, we do say a program in execution. Now, what exactly it means for us? So that's what I would be introducing to you, and what exactly happens towards that side. Okay, so I am going to really make use of few demonstrations for you peoples on this front. Now, while I'm demonstrating it, it can happen that some things I may not be able to show you directly here, like through the online process mode, but I will try to have create such kind of scenario ultimately and will pass on to you all. Okay, in a recorded form. So let us go to a terminal. So let us make use of a terminal window. So this should be a text terminal where I have logged in with my user, regular user. So let me write a simple program. Say for example, Emacs. Let me give program name. So let us give MCA 290621.c. Fine. So user is typing his program. So what he says is this: printf my name is Nitin. Fine. And user is done with the code. So for the sake of no errors warnings, I am adding this. So hash include. This may be good habit for an individual. And here I am saying return 0. Say I'm returning something. Okay, so I wrote this code. Now I want to see what is written by me. So this is my last line that I have created. So number of lines included here are 76. I can see my code from the text mode. This was my code, correct? What was added by me as a programmer. Now my goal is to create an executable. So what I do is I do create executable with this way. So I'm creating this executable in the 32-bit manner. So that's why I do write this M32 because my machine is a 64-bit machine. So if I create it 64, I will show you what exactly happens at that side as well. Size of the code would be increasing. Size of the executable would be increasing at that point of time. So let us take this as M32. So I'm trying to compile my code. Okay, I got it. So if I see now ls-ltr, so 15596. So like let me show you what happens if I don't write this M32. Okay, let me show first this a.out. So you may see it is a 32-bit file. Fine. So to show you that it was a 32-bit file, so let me remove this. So if I don't write this, automatically my executable is in the form of 64-bit. So if I write this, you can see it is a 64-bit. Rest of most of the things above would be similar. Correct. So let me go back to my 32-bit version because I wanted to see that. Now what happens is user creates as executable, and when user tries to execute, now you can think of like see whatever the thing that I am saying here is a command prompt. That's what we call, correct? And it is expecting me to input something. So if I input say Nitin, it says it is not found. Okay, so but if I write whatever is known to it, then who would be responsible to find out whether this is valid or not? This is valid or not. Okay, so what happens is if I see there is a program called shell. Okay, or in simple words, in considering all operating systems altogether, we call it as command shell. So in Linux, okay, the command shell is called as bash. Correct. So if I see man bash, you can see it is bound again shell. So there might be some mystery. We don't care about it, but we say command language interpreter that executes command read from the standard input or from a file. Now, when I say standard input, whatever like you may see the cursor is blinking here, correct? So if I say, for example, write a code test.c, and in this code, suppose I have a scanf statement. Okay, now what program is doing, let us not much worry about. Okay, so let me write gcc test.c -m32. Correct. And now if I execute, you will see similar thing, like the cursor is blinking. So it is expecting me to provide some input. Similar kind of blink is happening here as well. So can we think of bash is a program running in background, okay, which is expecting user to give some inputs. Correct. Now, if you keep on giving this NITIN, it will try to tell you like, okay, boss, you are doing something wrong. This is not what I am expecting. Now, what it might be expecting, we may not be sure. Correct. So we need to understand in that such a case, this command shell, and this command shell is one important part of your operating system. Now, this could be in a text mode, or that could be in a graphical mode. It depends how your operating system is defined or designed. Correct. So it would be knowing only those things which are known to it, which are added with it. Now how, from where I can get this? Correct. Now, if I do see an operating system like a Windows, you make use of a graphical interface. Correct. Now, at that point of time, what you do is you make use of a complete graphical user interface GUI. By clicking Windows Explorer or File Explorer, you see different folders. So you call folder in general OS terminology, it is called as directory. Okay, so if I say write ls, so if I write file desktop, so it says desktop is a directory. This is a type of file that it is returning me. Okay, if I write file documents, it tells me it is a directory. But when I say, for example, XAMPP.asm, so it says, okay, probably a C source. Okay, so now see, I have given extension as ASM, but how can it say C source? So if let me check. So XAMPP.asm, it contains some assembly code, correct? Written in a particular assembly language, okay, which is kind of lower language, which would be in turn converted to what you call as machine language. Correct. So, but like it identified it something like C source because it never knows what exactly this assembly probably might be containing. Correct. Even like let us check whether do we have any .s. Okay, let me write this. There is another form of assembly. So if I write this, then it understands that yes, this is an assembler source. Okay, though my earlier file, this XAMPP, was containing assembly code, but it was with a different form. So if I try to really see the file differences. Now see, while as an operating system, what you are supposed to do. So you have to distinguish this. See, we had main even here, correct? We had main even here, and this was a code generated. So original file was given to it is .c, which was converted to this form, correct? So like when file types are understood, when user writes something here, for example, user writes ls or user writes file, from where it gets this information. So even like if I talk about ls-wl, so it says you think it seems you made a mistake. You have written something which is not permitted. Correct. This kind of error might be there. So that means what? Some code definitely is routine for written for each command that you have in the system. Now where exactly these commands are stored then? These commands might be stored in a particular directory structure of your operating system. Now if I particularly wanted to talk about Linux, if I write say cd dot. So if I write print working directory pwd, it tells me that you are in home directory of the user. Okay, so let me write cd dot. If I write pwd, it says home. Let me write cd dot. Now I am at root. This slash is your root directory. That means your c:// on Windows. It is kind of this. So you are at root. So if I write ls, I do see now these all, this is a directory structure followed by a Linux operating system. So each specific one would be created by the operating system. Similarly, on Windows, you must have seen, like if I open a file browser for a while, and on that file browser, if I go to C, okay, let me show you that part as well. 1 minute. Let me log in with my Windows machine as well. So then I will be able to show you how it would be. Okay, 1 minute, please. Now you will be seeing here. Yeah. Okay, now let me try to particularly show the screen. Okay, now I logged in with my Windows machine. Now you may see, like if I go to this C drive, correct? You will see that this is a directory structure followed by my Windows. So my few directories might be added by the software. For example, this Mass Secure is added by the application which I installed for Bank of Maharashtra internet banking. But rest of the things like users, Windows, program files, x86 program files, perflog, Intel. These are the default directories created at the time of installation of Windows. Okay. On the similar manner, like when I do talk about my OS, okay, or this Windows rather, correct? So let me stop it. So let me again stop and add. So when I try seeing the similar kind of directory structure on this platform, okay, these are the directories that are added by it. So each directory plays an important role. So like this would be our major topic even with respect to this operating system course. But as it was required, so that's why I'm introducing you. So all these commands that you write from the command shell. So if I go to bin, okay, and if I write ls, okay, let us write ls. Let me write ls dash l. So this is a code. So if I write now file ls, it says 64-bit LSB shared object. This is an executable now. ELF, correct? Which is 64-bit. So these all programs which are permitted to be used by the user. Most of them would be shell commands. Say for example, I use pwd even, correct? ls pwd-l. So this is a particular directory. Sorry, this is a code available. So if I write again still for pwd, it says same ELF 64-bit LSB shared object, correct? So all of them are executables. Okay, and whenever I try writing that into, sorry, whenever I try writing that into my home directory, so it gets executed from this path, this sbin. Now what happens when I execute? That's what our target would be. So here, this is an executable program. That's what it says. ELF 64-bit LSB shared object. Our target is not to understand why exactly it said, but we can understand from this that it is an executable because like Linux considers some kind of coloring combinations rather used to represent different file types. Okay, if it is an executable, generally it is shown in the green form. So if I say write about my executable 2, you may see this is my executable a.out. So that's why it is shown in a green form. And this was my source file. Okay, this is my directory. Correct. So these are the color combinations chosen by your OS. But now let us say like when I create an executable, when I write dot slash, now this is how you execute the code. So if I write my source code like this, it may not say, it may not permit you because this is not how you should do. This is not a executable. But if I do the same thing for my executable, then it says it executed. So it is asking me to input some values. Correct. Now what it is displaying, let us not much worry about, but at least it got executed. So what happens there? So let me open another window. Okay, so Control Shift N. Can you see two windows now? Okay, I am opening two terminals. Okay, this is terminal 1 and this is my terminal 2. I want you to make sure. So how exactly I can see, like on Windows, I showed you, you press Control Alt Delete to get information about all processes running. Correct. So if I want to see the same thing through the text mode, so you write a command called PS. So you check syntax of PS like this, man PS. So it says what? Whenever you fire PS command, it goes into memory, find out which processes are running, and it displays information about them. So if I write simply PS for this, it is showing like this. So if I write PS from here, what is difference between both of them? Can you point out the difference between both of them? See, bash PS, correct. Now if I see PTS1, here I see PTS0. So this is terminal. This is graphical terminal 0 number and this is 1 number. That's why. And each terminal has like bash has this ID. So this is process ID. It is like a roll number for us. So this PID for this terminal is process ID. What is PID? Process ID 103731. In this case, it is 103203. For PS, it is 103764. For it is 103766. Now, if I open another terminal, I will see the similar thing. Like if this is my another terminal. So if I write PS, so you will see PTS2. So I keep on opening terminals for each of them. These would be the main. But these are the only things which are shown for the user on the terminal. So if I wish to see all, so you write PS. So I will use this one. You can write now on either of them. So remember these numbers, 73731. Okay, so let us write less PS-A all. Now you see the process number starts with 1 and so on. You go below. So this seems a sorted list, correct? Now see how many processes are running there. So we started with 1 and then suddenly we see a huge number difference. So we got to last number to be 103801. Can you see where is 10? Because we fired this less and PS currently on our PTS1. This is PTS2, this is PTS0. Okay, and this is where we are firing this PTS command on 3731. So if I now if it is 3800, if I still again execute, go to the bottom, you will see that the numbers got changed. Because when we executed PS command with less, these commands were in memory. So when I press Q, my program got terminated. That means what? Think of this. I gave an example even in previous session. Like think of this, like you have a classroom and when somebody new appears or wants to enter. So either like with assumption that the teacher is asking them to ask whether do you want to permit that individual or not. So you are asking, may I come in? Correct. Now seeing the class size, seeing the available space, teacher may respond either yes or no. Or maybe some thing probably could be like suppose at 9:57 you are trying to enter into the class and if my class is going to end at 10. So I may say no, you are not permitted. Correct. So these could be the kind of decisions that might be taken by the manager who would be executing these all programs. So whenever I try to execute a program, I may or may not be permitted to execute it. So in this case, if I execute, say from here, I'm executing this ./a.o. Now remember that we are at PTS0. So my program is in memory. So if I now try to see this command again from here, go below. Now your a.out is in memory, correct, which is running there. Let us go below. So we got this. A.out is in memory. Correct. So if I pass on some value 2, I gave now see the number 3827. So let me fire this again. Go below. It is same. Because it is not removed from memory. Correct. Now let me give another number. it came out, correct? So if I fire now the command here, I will not be able to find a.out because execution was started, user responded to the commands, and then that program was gone. The program completed its execution. So you may see it is not available here, correct? What is the code that was shown at that point of time? So what operating system did for this? So whenever you execute a code, operating system creates a space in memory for you. It assigns some number to each entry that is occurring in the class or in the memory at that time. It will add some more information too. Now think of this again, like if you have a drawing competition and then you register first. So your data would be added there. So with that data, you would be assigned some number and you would be given some resources which are required for that drawing competition or painting competition. Now it is expected that some of the resources should be returned back. Some of the resources you may consume. You may not require at all those service resources back. It is assumed that whenever you are done with it, you should be able to return the resources which are allocated to you. Correct. So this resource information is important. Second thing is I need to store information about that process. Okay, now if I see with respect to this, whenever I fire this command, I do see that yes, this a.out was added. So when it executes, say let us execute it. When it executes, sorry, let us go here. You will see that the process started execution. Okay, so 3863 is the number associated with it. So it is running on its storing information at how much time it took, probably of memory. Now we are not doing anything here, correct? So though cursor is displayed. If I say, OK, now let me wait, how much time my program is going to wait for me before I input my code, before I input the values over here. Now, if I'm not able to, if I'm not providing the values at all, this will remain at some stage. OK, now I am assuming that like if I see this class strength, we have 58 people now in this online class. Now, if I don't ask you to switch on your videos till that time, I don't know what exactly you are doing. But if I start asking you all to switch on your videos, okay, do it. Switch on your videos. Let us try this. Okay, switch on your videos and let us see what exactly happens. Now, when please switch on your videos, each one of you. I will also switch on my video. Switch on your video, please. Siddhi, Jayesh. Yeah, now you will see like, can we assure that these people were in the same position while the video was started? We cannot assure, can we? Like, so it may happen that like some of the individuals might be in some different position. They might be sleeping on the bed, probably listening or hearing the session from the bed because they know that I'm not going to practice anyway because I don't have Linux. Correct. If those having Linux, probably they may be trying these things at their end. Now, at that point of time, what are the parameters that you have? When I say parameters, I mean like all parameters. Like for example, okay, where exactly you are sitting, whether it is a chair or not, and so on. So the resources that you have captured. Now you must have seen some of you have headphones, some of you are using directly from laptop. Some of you don't have at all the camera available, but you might be having only mic with you, and so on. Correct. So the resources are how exactly this process is going to communicate that what I'm going to require. So this process would be containing some information. Now let me terminate this code and let me show you what information this process can contain. So let me write this strace. What is strace? So I am going to talk about this in next session about system calls, but it says trace system calls and signals. Now you might have seen when I said, OK, can you please switch on your videos? Suddenly, like nobody responded to that probably. Then I took all front 4 names which I could see. Then I said, okay, Siddhi, can you please switch on your video? Then suddenly, like she took some amount of time rather to switch on her video. Even Jayesh did the same thing. Even Ritesh did the same thing. Now, what exactly happens? Now, it could have happened that if they don't have any camera at all in front with them with their device, they could have said, no, I cannot switch on my video. Now, when we do talk about such a case, how this information would be passed? So when I give an instruction to you, then suddenly you realize, oh, I am asked to. Now, if I don't take name of say Ankush, please switch on your video. Now, with assumption that Ankush is there, but suppose Ankush joined the class and if Ankush is not there, how the video would be switched on? So resource request might be call might be sent, but if there is no receiver, what will happen in such a case? Correct. So we need to have this communication. So if I say, please switch on all your videos or switch on your cameras. Now, until and unless like you must have seen this happens in a class. Have you understood? So generally question is asked by the teacher. Nobody responds. Then what teacher does? Teacher points out few people names. Correct. And then ultimately they realize, oh, I'm asked. So let me respond. So until and unless I'm asked, I don't respond. And that's what is taken care by some signal. Now suppose you are sitting in a big classroom. Okay, and if I'm tying like I'm watching towards the class and I'm saying, yes, you. Now what happens is like whenever we are not in mood of answering, we try saying to the others, correct? We don't know to whom the call is given. Now what exactly we mean by yes, you? But if I say yes, Jayesh, I'm talking with you, then suddenly Jayesh says, oh yes, I'm given the call. Resource is allocated. Now when I say this, how this process should be done? This is with respect to the system calls, with respect to the interrupt. I gave a signal. Okay, and sometimes if Jayesh is not paying attention, and with assumption that Siddhi is sitting next to him, Siddhi told him, oh, Jayesh, Patil sir is asking you. Correct. Now this might be a signal given through some mode. Okay, so let us try to see what exactly happens when your program gets executed. So let us try to do this. S trace, let me write a dot out. Okay, your executable name. So let us go up. Now see what exactly we wrote. Okay, this was our code which got executed. So S trace a dot out. Exec VE, then BRK, then ARC. We don't know what exactly they are. Access, mmap, OpenIT, fstat, mmap, close, access, OpenIT, read, and so on. So it started with execute. Now let us try understanding what exactly it is. So man, so let me terminate this. Exec VE. So what is this? It says execute a program. Now let us read about this. This program. So if you see, like it is from Linux programmer manual. So that's why it is called a system call. Okay. Okay, those who have seen the video that I shared for Systems 2 course, like rather, you should see them because those things might not be part of our course directly, indirectly, but you should see that because for at least you may say understanding more things. Okay, so exec executes the program referred by the path name. So path name in that case was we wrote /a .out. Okay, stress /a .out. So /a .out meant that yes, it is to be executed. This causes the program that is currently being run by the calling process. Who executed this? So who executed our code? Like when exec CVE called, when you wrote this. So stress executed this code. Who was executing the code? Stress. Which code was executed? A.out. Now let me fire this. Now we know that it is waiting for our scanf. So let us go to other terminal now. Okay, and try to see what is the status now. Now you will see there is a stress, there is a dot out. Now, who called a dot out? An executable. Who called it? Stress. How we know this? Can we tell it right now from here? Maybe yes, maybe no. If you have seen earlier slide or earlier terminal, then you could have said stress is calling a dot out. But if I want to see that, how to see this? So write here EJ capital H. What we wrote? Take screenshot of this command, by the way, what I'm telling you. Now this EJH gives you the tree. Those like I assume you did graphs in somewhere in mathematics, probably. If you haven't, try to find out what exactly the tree is. Okay, so when I write ps-ejh, let us go below where our code was. Now try to see. See, bash. Bash. On bash we called stress, and stress called a dot out. Now you will see there is a level. At level, this is another level, this is another level. In this case, for example, another terminal, bash at one level, ps and less are at different levels. So if you see bash, 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 like if you go with the column, like see, suppose if I assume that this is column number 3, this is column number 3, all of them are at same level. Stress, ps, less are at same level. A dot out is at next level. So this is a process tree, though shown in a different manner. Okay, that means what? Bash is, these 3 bash are child of this process. This stress is child of this bash. This a dot out is child of this stress. So this could be the mechanism that it can tell. Yes, a dot out is called by stress is called by bash, and bash was called by this code. So what command we used? EJH. Like if you go and talk about PS. Sorry. Let us go below and try to see what is EJH. Yeah. To print a process tree, you write this command. Okay, and you may see like huge operations can be carried out, which we would be talking definitely in some time. Okay, now what we saw was when we fired that stress from here, we saw too many things. Now it is a printf that was given a call. Like if you say we wrote there, na, enter values of A and B. Let me show you what that printf was. What was the code? Test. Yeah. Cat test dot c. This was our code. It was saying enter values of A and B, and then there is waiting for this scanf, and that's what it is doing there. So if I write 3, it says 2. Okay, it's I adds like when I press enter, it added this /n. If I add 5, you may see it added 5/n, and then suddenly it says addition is. Now we don't know what the code is executing in background. So each one, whatever we see, a read, a write, abstract, brk, each and everything is a system call. An operating system is doing these many things to execute your simple code. How many lines were there? Let us see this. If I execute simply here, it says done. I inputted the values, my program is done. But for achieving only these number of lines, this much amount of code was written by your OS, or like this was what was executed by your OS towards the end. Now think of again, hall is there. That hall is used generally to organize, to arrange marriages, marriage ceremonies, maybe birthday parties, and so on. Now think of the arrangements to be made for birthday party and the arrangements to be made for marriage ceremony. Would be the same? Would they be same? No. So different process or different mechanism is to be followed for each such case. Correct. So depending upon what you are using in this code, things are to be taken care of. Now when we fired this EJH command here, we got to know this, and we saw that, oh, earlier it was 1, correct? Now we are seeing 2. So now see, even this in a column of C, this K is there. Let us see which is the other one. So now you will see one again. System D. Now think of this. Let me open and spreadsheet. 1 minute. Now it is looking like something which we now will see. Yeah. Yes. Now let me assume that this was my, you may say, and it created this and this. So this was 1, this was 2. Definitely then this should be 0. Correct. This 0, like I am trying to draw a tree structure. Okay. Let me see, can I draw the line? Yeah. So object shape. So it is something like this, correct? Fine. So this 0 created 2. Then what is this 0? This 0 is internally executed by the system, which is not shown. This 0 creates these 2 childrens, and this 1 in turn had so many. See, this 1 had in turn so many. See, these all are children of 1. Like 1 is the top parent for these all things. And similarly, like if you see, before 1 starts, all these above things are like they have a grandparent, whatever the level it is. So this K thread add, the program which got executed having number 2. So they are 1, 2. So again, if I go further, like 1 would be having some children, 2 would be having some children at a particular level. For example, all these are at same level. Okay, so when we move further, suddenly we see, okay, they all are children at one level only. But for system D, we saw, for example, system D had these many children now. Then this in turn has one another. So parent of this process is same. Okay, this one. So how you differentiate this? So you can see this is a process number for it, and this is a parent number. Okay, somewhere added. Who created that process? Correct. So this is how the process tree would be added. That means what? Who will initiate the execution should be known. So I was talking about an example of an hall, marriage ceremony and birthday ceremony. The arrangements would be different. Depending upon the resources required, the management is to be done by the owner. So let us say it is a bash or it is an operating system which would be helping you out to complete execution of your program. Now that program in the sense like it could be either of the ceremony, birthday or marriage. Now everything would not be same. Resources might be different. Process execution process might be again different. Correct. Now when we do talk about this, how much information which would be required for us? So there would be registration process too. How I know what elements would be required, what products, what different items would be required for you to carry out that activity. So resource requirement is to be given. Resource requirement is to be given. Ultimately, I also require space. I also require space. I also require resources. I also when I say space, I'm into say memory as well as storage. Now, if I try to do something like this, for example, like what we do on Windows, we do use a kill task item, correct? You must have seen on Windows. You choose a process and you say kill or end task, for example, end task. That means what you are trying to terminate that program. So how the termination could be? So termination could be smooth, abnormal termination, smooth, or you can say normal termination. Now when we say abnormal, it is like get out from the class. So suppose from the meeting, like whatever the meeting that we are having now, suppose if I choose Allah, then if I say remove from the meeting, correct? So what will happen? He will be removed from the meeting. He will not get access until unless I do permit next time. Now what you may see here, like while the meetings are, generally there are options chosen. So everybody would be either waiting in a waiting room or directly permitted to enter. So if I provide a waiting room there, in such a case, there is a queue and that queue need to be processed. Now suppose I am requesting for a resource, like all of you are standing in outside the class, and also I'm also standing outside the class because we don't have a key for the lock. Resource is not available, so we have to wait. So up till what time? There probably could be limitations, like if till 9:45, suppose connectivity is not getting established, I'm consistently telling, okay, please wait, my internet connectivity is gone. Let us wait for a while. On WhatsApp, I'm communicating this message to you all. Then how much time are we going to wait? Because we may have some other task to do. So at maybe at 9:50, I may say, okay, now let us not continue. We'll continue tomorrow. This signal is to be sent. Whether are we continuing or not, this signal also needs to be sent. Now, how exactly this would be happening at that end? So you have processes to be in particular states. Okay. Now what exactly we mean by that process state? So let us see. I'm using man PS again. And I'm going below. So your process can be in one of the states that I'm trying to show you now. Yeah. Process states. My process could be in either of these states. This was with respect to Linux in general or Unix in general. These many states. Now, if I try to tell you these terminologies like uninterruptible sleep, idle kernel thread, okay, what exactly they mean by? And our target is not to only learn Linux internals. Our target was to learn operating system internal in general. But how, where, in which state my code is? Say, for example, if I go to the terminal and let me execute this code. Now, in what mode, in what state this program is running? You executed that program. Can I check it? How do I check it? Whether in which state my code is? To get that information, I definitely will require an option to be used. So let us try to see. Okay, how can we get it? Okay, so let us find out the command specifically. Okay, so let us do one thing. Man ps greater than p or man ps grep state. Okay, so if I write ps dot stat, okay, so man ps. So let us see how can I get stats. So there could be s tty. We have to find the appropriate options to get information about the state. So if I go to this thread display other information state codes. So if I write ps-s, correct? So see, these are all states that are added there. S, R, correct? So this was from PTS 0. It says S and plus. Let us see what exactly S and plus means. Man PS. So let us go below where exactly we saw the state codes. We had S and plus. Okay, let us see what exactly they mean for us. Yeah. What is capital S? Waiting for event to complete. And plus means it is in foreground process. It is not in background. It is in foreground process. Now background, foreground, I will let you know what exactly they are. Now see, it is waiting for me, my input. So it is waiting. OK, user will come and once he will put an input and then he will press enter. Right. If I go again and check this, I can see same thing is there. Now when I executed this ps-s, it was R. Okay, and foreground process again. So if I see R even, so let us remember this what you can call as, sorry. So I will take screenshot of this and I will add that screenshot on our chat. So please keep attention. OK, let me close this. I don't require this now. Here. So chat. Upload pictures screenshot. OK. Remember this one. So these are the state codes that are shown. OK, you can open at your end and you can now see. Like R means what now? Let us see what exactly R is. R is running or in runnable mode on run queue. It was like, OK, you are standing outside the class and one by one you are entering. Now suppose person at number 6 in the row is not doing anything. What can happen? It is waiting for something to do. It is not knowing whether is this my class or not. Like think of this. You are going to a place where you don't have any idea about that place and then you are trying to find out information. What should I do? Correct. So depending upon the situation, it can happen that you would be in a particular state. Either you are waiting for something, you are waiting for somebody to guide you, or you don't know what to do. Right. So would we seeing like most of these states, rather this was one which can be shown on Linux specifically very easily. Defunct, zombie. OK, now suppose your parents are taking like I am assuming that when we were children at that time, our parents used to take us for some program. Then we always used to return back with our parents. Now in current age, like considering you are plus 18 and you are going with your parents, can you assure that while coming back, will you be able, along with your parents? Probably no. Correct. Now, like even like in the old movies, we used to always see like when two brothers or sisters, they go to a particular program and then suddenly they don't know where exactly they are. Correct. And they try to find out who are my parents. After some time, you suddenly see they are now plus 18, and then they are trying to find out who are their parents. What will happen in such a case? They don't know what exactly happened there. How come? Like if they are knowing few things, few parameters, then it's okay. But if it is a child with say age 1 or 2 months, how that process will know who was the parent who created that process? Who was the parent who created that process? Now, when I said this, ultimately, that's what we call as a zombie state. You don't know in what state you are. So I will be demonstrating you that part too. How can you enter into that particular state? OK, so try these things. What are the things that I told you in today's class? So you try to go through different options available with man PS. OK, there are multiple. Try to remember, try to find out information about each of these notation that is shown in this screenshot that was sent to you. Correct. This was the screenshot that we were following. Correct. So you can see what exactly the meanings for each of them are. So while we see theoretical aspects with respect to this process management, at that time you will see that there are very less number of processes. I will try to show you even probably I may have a video or maybe animated file which tells you how exactly the processes do work. I will try to find out it. Probably I may get it on my old disks. Then that will help you out to how find out how exactly the changes in the states are done. Fine. Okay, so any question till this time? If you have, you can ask.